Good evening, everybody. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and I see they've added some new features on this live stream. Hang on just a second here. Let's see. Okay, fine. We got that. Okay. Whew. Where have I been? Oh, boy. I've been working about 37 hours a week, nonstop, since a little before Thanksgiving. That is where I have been, folks. I am not kidding you. That is exactly where I've been. And how many of you people, I want to start with this. During this period of time, first of all, I have been writing consistently with this new Kindle book entitled Did You Remember Everything Part 2? And my first question to all you guys is I have also been posting on my fan page, my Speed Learner fan page. How many of you have been looking at the posts on my Speed Learner fan page? Let me know. Okay. I know some of you have been looking at it, but I don't know if you ever actually read any of this. And I've never seen any comments come back to me asking me why I posted it, or more importantly, ask me any questions about it. You say, well, why would all this be important? Well, let me adjust this just a little bit so you can see me a little bit better. Hi. Now you can see me a little bit better. Why is all this important? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly why this is important. Did you see what happened over Christmas time in New York and also down in the Carolinas? They just didn't have any power. That's coming to a city near you someday if you don't take action. Okay? So you say, well, what can we do about it? Well, I'm going to start telling you what you can do about this because you are not helpless at all. This is one of the things I see this all the time, especially around Christmas time. People are like, oh, but I got to work on the holidays. You got a little bit more of a situation going on than that. I assure you, your situation is a little bit worse than that. And if you don't start dealing with it, there you go. Okay? Now you say, well, wait a minute. What can we do? You're not helpless. You never have been. That's what this channel is all about, is making sure you're not helpless in any situation. I told you from the very beginning that I'd help you facing eviction, starvation, and bullyism. That's why I'm here. I've been here for 13 years now, almost 14. And I have no intentions of leaving unless something unfortunate ever happens to me. And I really hope that doesn't happen. Even then, I have made arrangements with my friends to keep this channel running no matter what happens. And that means also the Kindle books aren't going anywhere either. That's right. The Kindle books are going nowhere. You can read them anytime you like. And these next ones will come out. I told you I'd put out PTCB on a budget, and I will at some point. I also told you I'd put out this Did You Remember Everything Part 2. It's going to come out at some point. Just hasn't done that yet. So, what is the real problem here? Is it you're working on the holidays? No, that is not the real problem here. The real problem is you're not learning what I need you to learn. Okay? Now, notice it's not that you're not learning at all. You're just not learning the things I need you to learn right now. Secondly, it's about observation skills. Why do you think I put up all those looking for Lincoln videos? Yes, they're cool. And yes, the signs are cool. And I'm thrilled that you guys got to take a look at them. And that's great. But one of the things I also posted out there for was to teach you observation skills. If you don't have great observation skills, you will not have a great job. Simple as that. But there's one more thing. This is just as important. It's about time management. What do I see the most? I'll tell you, I went to Warrensburg and it was wonderful. And I videotaped their fireworks show a couple of years ago and it was fantastic. And I hope someday I can be able to do it again. And let me tell you something, if I ever go into retirement, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Also, if I ever end up on the partnership program, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go right over there and videotape their fireworks. It's fantastic. I love it. It's great. What did I see? These people, it wasn't even sunset. Not even sunset yet. And they're just talking amongst themselves, which is okay. But here's this opportunity for them to learn something while they're there. They didn't do it. They could have, some of them could have actually downloaded my videos and learned while they were there, or had learned that afternoon because they didn't have a whole lot of activities. I mean, let's face it, especially with kids, let's face it, they're not going to sit there and talk to their older people all day long. They'll talk to them, obviously, but not all day long. They're going to sit there on their phones. You know that. They watch TikTok. You know they do because you've seen them do it. And I've seen them do it. They could be learning something from me. What you're facing here, this reality is time management problems, observation problems, and learning problems. Let me tell you something. If you have better observation skills, you'll see better opportunities. When you see those opportunities, seize upon them, and you'll do better. It's that simple. Okay, so that's the real issue here. The more you learn, the more time management you'll learn, the more observation skills you'll learn, the better opportunities will come to your way, and you'll make more money, and so on and so forth. Especially now when you really do need to start getting those solar panels. You got to afford them. You think the government's going to pay for it? Oh, I forgot. The government doesn't pay for anything. There's your first observation skill. It's not the government that's paying for this. It's your tax dollars paying for those solar panels. You paid for them. And before you start screaming, oh, they should increase the minimum wage. They should increase the minimum wage. Why do they want to increase the minimum wage? For you? Let's find out. Think about this for a second. Now, I'm going to go down here to the bottom. If you don't earn any income at all, you don't have to pay any taxes. Because 0 times 10% is still 0. You should have learned that from my elementary mathematics videos. But if you earn between 0 and $10,275 in a single year, 10% of that is the government's. And most people earn about $10,275 a year. Okay? Now, I know a lot of us, we earn even more than that. But there are a lot of people out there. You can see them. If they got these minimum wage jobs, they are making 20, 25 hours a week. They're probably making about $10,000 a year. Okay? Now, think about that for a second. That means that they're paying up to $1,000 to the government every year. It's automatically deducted out of your paycheck. But what happens if you earn more than $10,275? Every dollar that you earn after that, you're going to pay 12% instead of 10%, all the way until you get to $41,775. So the more money you make, the more you're going to pay to the government. How do you think they're paying for these solar panels? Because they're charging you. That's how it's done. Okay? And think about this for a second. They just passed that omnibus bill. Think about that for a second. How are they going to pay for that? You're paying for that. Think about it. That's all I'm saying. Think about it. So the next time you scream about minimum wage, just think about, is it really for your benefit or for theirs? Think carefully. The answer's pretty obvious. I'm not going to say it, but it's obvious. If you have the brain of a 3-year-old, you can figure that one out. Okay? So anyway, The main thing is that you have to change your strategy. Your strategy is this. Most important. You need to learn, you need to observe more, and you need to practice time management. That is your real strategy. That's what's going to make you prosper. If you don't do that, you'll never prosper. It's that simple. Learn from me and you'll be better off. I guarantee it. And the more you learn from me, the more I'll teach you. And that's what this is all about. And I'm going to show you observation skills tonight. That's true. I'm going to show you this. All right. Now, the reason why this live stream was a little late is because I wanted to prepare notes for Danica McKellar's Math Doesn't Suck book. Okay, I've done another chapter review, and I'm going to go ahead and show you that. And you can learn some of these observation skills by seeing it. So, welcome everybody. Class is back in session. I'm not working 37 hours a week anymore. Okay, at least not for the time being. Eventually I might go back. We don't know. But that's really up to you. That is really up to you. The more you watch of me, the more my ratings go up. You know, there are two ways a YouTube channel prospers. Two ways. One is you watch more of my content. The more minutes of watch time I acquire, the closer I get to a YouTube partnership. That's the way it works. Two, if you leave comments in my videos that I answer back, that is another way to get me up on the rails. You want me to be here more often, do one of these two things. Either go through my videos and start leaving me comments that I can answer back to, or watch more of my content. Either way, that'll get me one step closer to get my partnership. I have been without my partnership now for almost 4 years. All right. Actually, it's actually going to be almost 5 now. Almost 5 years. Since I lost it in 2018, so yes, it's almost 5 years now. That means when ads show up on my videos, I don't make anything. Google makes it all. So anyway, another thing you can do to support me is ask me about my Kindle books. I have 5 on the air. You can buy any of them. They're $5 a piece. Let me know, and I'll show you the links. And the more you buy those Kindle books, the more likely I will finish writing the next ones. I'm working on them now, but I'll work even faster. You support me, I support you. Now, I know there's been people saying, well, why don't you just go to Rumble? Well, I could. I won't make as much. And more importantly, if the video I post isn't prosperous enough, they take it down. I don't want to lose my videos. I really don't. So there you go. Anyway, let's go ahead with all this. All right, now let's see here. Let's go right up to this, and we're going to go ahead and go into this. Let's see. There we go. All right. So I wanted to welcome each and every person here. Glad you're here. Thank you for joining me on this nice little live stream. It's great to see you. Okay, so let's get into this, shall we? And we're going to go ahead and get my notes here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to review a song called Fireflies. It's by Owl City. And if you guys will give me just a minute, I'll go ahead and review this. Anyway, give me just a second. We got to go ahead and review this. And we got to get everything done. Hang on just a second. And let's see here. Okay. My apologies. My 100% and total apologies. Okay. So let's get into this, shall we? All right, now let's see. All right, let's see. Oh, stop it. There, that's better. Woo. Anyway, I see somebody finally in my live stream. That's great. Fantastic. If you're in my live stream, let me know who you are and what's going on. I'd like to hear from you. Anyway, I guess before I go into this full scale, I wanted to ask you guys a quick question. What did you think of the Bricks Farm and the Taylorville Christmas in the Park and the oversized Christmas cards? I don't know yet who won that contest. When I find out, I'll let you know. I'll do that in a future video. So anyway, what did you think about all that? I really would like to hear from you people. Really would. Anyway, let's get into recording some videos, shall we? This video response is going to go out to Owl City, and that's because you uploaded a music video entitled Fireflies. I watched your music video. I listened to your song. I hear it all the time. And I decided to ask you a few questions about your video and, of course, your lyrics. According to the lyrics, have you ever seen that many fireflies? Why would fireflies leave teardrops? Why would you stand and stare at a great multitude of fireflies? I know they're pretty and everything, but why would you just stare at them? You know, you have nothing better to do? Really? Why would you have to convince yourself that Earth moves slowly? Does it look like the Earth is moving at an incredibly fast pace? It is, but it doesn't look like that. How could a lightning bug hug you? And if there are 10,000 lightning bugs present, then why would only 1,000 of them hug you? What, the other 9,000 are snubbing you? Okay, what, they just totally despise you? Are you saying you're related in some way to 1,000 lightning bugs? Are you saying that the lightning bugs are smart enough to teach humans how to dance the foxtrot or some form or sort of sock hop dance? You say there is a disco ball hanging by a thread. How thick's the thread? Is this disco ball going to drop on your head? Okay, just asking. You say you're counting sheep to fall asleep. What, you never heard of melatonin? Really? Okay, have you ever talked to your physician and say, hey man, I just can't get to sleep. Can you help me out? This song sounds more like a nursery rhyme than a top 40 rock and roll song. It really does. If you're trying to promote this as a nursery rhyme, it's perfect. Kids would love it. But for the rest of us, no, it is not a top 40 hit. It will never be a top 40 hit. And why you would market it like that is beyond me. So I give this song for the way it's been marketed more than anything else. And the fact that the lyrics seem pretty stupid. I mean, they're imaginative to be sure, but they're kind of stupid. I give this song an F. All right. If you happen not to be, if you happen not to be Owl City right now, and you're watching this video, feel free to go over to Owl City's YouTube channel, watch their videos, rate their videos, comment on their videos, subscribe to their channel if you like. And more importantly, tell them that the speed learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. What did you guys think about that? Anything? You know, I keep these live streams up forever, so if you just want to comment, feel free to do so. All right, we're going to review yet another song. This one is very interesting. It's been around for a long time, and you're going to like what I have to say about this one. This video response is going to go out to Billy Joel, and that's because you uploaded a music video a long time ago called My Life. Now, originally it was just a song, but then it turned into a full-blown music video, okay? I watched the music video, I have listened to the song, and I'm going to go ahead and review it. And more importantly, I'm going to ask you some questions about your song, okay? So according to the lyrics, you said you received a call from an old friend. What happened to your friendship? Did it go south somewhere? I mean, what, you moved away long distance, that kind of thing? I don't know. Never says in the song. What did your friend consider to be the American way? What was his definition of the American way? What was your definition of the American way? What kind of shop did your friend have? What motivated your friend to become a comic? Why did this friend offer you a second chance? Why did your friend think you were a victim of circumstance? What did your friend want to tell you? Feel free to leave the answers to all these questions down here in the comments below. Now, I will tell you what I think of this song. I really will. There is a perfect blend of guitar and piano all throughout this song. The lyrics of this song have a simple and non-political message. Basically, this is a face real-life song. You're facing real-life problems. I will admit that this song isn't really a truly exciting song as far as that's concerned. It's just kind of a charming little get you through the workday type song, but that's okay. But if you're trying to make it through the workday, this can help you stay awake and refreshed. It really can. So, what am I going to give this song? I'm going to give this song a solid A. It's really a good song. It's pleasant to listen to. It'll get you through the workday. It's not something you'll just want to dive into the music store to get. But on the other hand, it's a great song. It really is. So if you happen not to be Billy Joel and you're watching this video right now, feel free to go over to Billy Joel's YouTube channel, watch his videos, rate his videos, comment on his videos, subscribe to his channel if you'd like, and more importantly, tell him that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Okay. Now, a lot of people have been waiting for me to do this because they have heard about what I'm going to do next. I'm going to shock you all. Get ready for this one. But before I do, yes, I'm going to be reviewing yet another song, and you're going to like this. Here we go. Are you ready? Are you set? This video response is going to go out to a band known as Jax, and that's because you uploaded a music video entitled Victoria's Secret. I have heard the song. I also watched the Flash Mob. Okay, I watched that too. And yes, I have also seen the music video. All right, so I'm going to review this song, and I'm going to ask you some questions about this song, and I'm going to provide some additional information that you did not provide in this song. You did provide it in the music video, but you did not provide it in the actual song itself. Okay. Now, the first question is, neither your parents nor any of your older friends told you about Photoshop or different female body shapes. Are you saying you grew up prior to the year 2000? Okay. And you actually took advice from a magazine cover or even a magazine story? I guess no one taught you how to conduct proper research. We're going to show you that in just a second. And you've never heard of or read about Karen Carpenter. Let me tell you something. Over Christmas time, if you are really paying attention to Christmas music, and I'm not talking about the 21st century Christmas music, or talking about older type Christmas songs, you're telling me you have never heard Karen Carpenter singing Merry Christmas, Darling? Never heard that. I don't believe it. And I just don't. I really don't believe that. Okay. So allow me to show you how to conduct proper research. Who invented the company known as Victoria's Secret? It was not Leslie Wexler. Nope, you got that wrong. You say it was invented by a dude? It was invented by a dude. You just showed the wrong dude. That's all you did. Okay? It was not Leslie Wexler. His name was Roy Raymond. Okay? This guy was married, and his wife wanted him to buy her. Roy's wife wanted him to buy her thigh-high stockings at a department store. He went to that store and he was very embarrassed, and he just couldn't bring himself to buy the thigh highs because he thought everybody was judging him because he was buying thigh highs for his wife. So he invented his own lingerie store. His idea was to create a store where men could go shop so they could buy lingerie for their wives without feeling like perverts as they shopped. Well, in 1982, Victoria's Secret was nearing bankruptcy. Then a guy by the name of Leslie Wexner bought the chain. Now, he was a personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein. This is where the problems began, okay? Now, Leslie Wexner researched the lingerie industry in Europe. That would be Italy, France, Great Britain, etc., okay? And Spain, so on and so forth. Leslie Wexner redesigned Victoria's Secret. Now, while he was doing this, he allowed Roy Raymond to stay president of Victoria's Secret until 1984. Now, Roy Raymond went on to try to create another store chain called My Child's Destiny. Unfortunately, My Child's Destiny did not work out too well. And because of that, Roy Raymond ended up in a divorce. His wife divorced him. And then in 1993, he paid one last visit to the Golden Gate Bridge, and he did kind of a swan dive, if you get the idea. Wasn't very pleasant for him. Okay? So, when you said that in the lyrics, when you said that the store had been invented by a dude, it was invented by Roy Raymond. Then you went on to describe your problems with Victoria's Secret. Well, it wasn't Roy Raymond who caused those problems. It was Leslie Wexler. Okay? So you need to adjust this song because basically they're getting the idea that Leslie Wexler was the one who formed Victoria's Secret. That's not true at all. That is a 100% lie, and it needs to be 100% corrected. Period. You don't lie to teenagers. You may not like what Victoria's Secret did, but I don't like what you did to them. You lied to them, literally. And I have the proof, and I've just given it to you. That's called proper research, and you didn't conduct it. So, and I'm going to get a lot of grief in the comments. I know I will. I'm fully expecting it. But the fact of the matter is, I'm right, period. The end. There is no question about how right I am. I just proved it to you. Okay? Now, Roy Raymond never lived in Ohio. Never. Okay? As a matter of fact, he lived in Connecticut originally. Then he moved out to California because he was very successful at the beginning with his Victoria's Secret, even though eventually he went into almost bankruptcy. Okay? So, Leslie Wexler was the guy cashing in on the female body shapes. But here's the thing. Are you telling me that kids today are not being taught how to do proper research and to make good decisions for themselves? If that's the case, then this is an education problem. It's not Leslie Wexler's problem. All he's doing is promoting a product. It's up to them. It's up to these teenagers to decide whether that product is what they want to wear or not. Okay? It's the same thing with illegal medications. You're the one that ultimately makes the decision. Nobody says you have to do this. In the same way, Leslie Wexler never said you have to wear this stuff. And if the guys cannot appreciate these gals for who they actually are, they're the ones with the problem, not the gals. The only time the gals have the problem is when they succumb to the peer pressure. Are you telling me that nobody ever teaches these kids how to avoid peer pressure? If you need avoidance of peer pressure, you come here and I'll teach you how. Stop that. Don't subject yourself to peer pressure. It's ridiculous and it's wrong. Anyway. And then you go on to the song to talk about thighs of thunder. And you say, well, it's all okay. Really? Do you have a medical license that says that? You shouldn't be the one determining that. I should not be the one determining that. The person who should determine that is their physician. If their physician says it's okay, it's okay. If the physician says it's not, they should be medically treated. So don't tell people that because they have thighs of thunder, they must be okay. That is the same mistake that Beauty Crush made when she was telling people that shyness, all shyness is okay. No, it's not. If you know anything about social anxiety disorder, you know how not okay it can become. It's not for you to determine all that. It is for a physician to determine that, period. And until your physician says it's okay, it's not okay. Then he says it's okay, and then it is okay. So that should be removed from your song immediately. All right. Why am I giving this song an F? I'll tell you why. One, because the lyrics flat out lie to these people, and that's wrong. And they're telling kids, they're sitting almost, it's not really a subliminal message, but in a way that's exactly what it is. They're telling kids, if you have thighs of thunder, you're okay. Not necessarily. A physician tells you that, not you. So that's two reasons. Besides, okay. Oh, and I almost forgot. There is an expletive in this song. I don't approve of that at all. This is being marketed to teenagers. Are you telling me you're teaching these teenagers that expletives are okay? It's not. Sorry, wrong. All right. And this gal who sings this song never mentions Karen Carpenter. Are you kidding me? If you really wanted to make an impact in this world, you bring up the story of Karen Carpenter. You're telling me you have never heard of Karen Carpenter? Please, I know better. All right. The only instruments in the song is guitar and a set of drums. Any 2-bit amateur could create this kind of a song. And that's why this song is getting an F. It's not original. It lies to kids. It causes kids to believe something that's just not all accurate. It's ridiculous. It is a really stupid song. And I am not afraid to say it. If you're Jax and you want to write to me, go right ahead. If you're one of the supporters of Jax, go right ahead to me. I'm right and you know it. So don't try to argue with me on that. Because I'm right. Period. And I am not ashamed of making this video. All right. Aside from that, if you want to go over to Jax's YouTube channel, feel free. I wouldn't recommend it, but you go ahead. You can watch their videos, rate their videos, comment on their videos, subscribe to their channel if you like. If you want to tell them there's a speed learner sent you, go right ahead. I'd love to hear their response. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Woo! Okay. So far, so good. We got a couple of more videos coming up. They're going to be really kind of short. Oh, no, we got 3 more videos coming up. They're going to be 2 of them are going to be kind of short. The other one's going to be little bit longer. All right. The next one is about solar panels. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a moment here and give me just a second. Oh, give me that. La-di-dee, da-di-da. Okay. I know this is written backwards, but this is Fresnel. Have you ever heard of a Fresnel lens? Okay, that's how it's pronounced. It's called Fresnel lens. I want you to research this. And there is a reason. There's a very good reason for doing that. Do you know that solar panels, and that's the absolute truth, solar panels are only 22% efficient? Do you know why? Because I'm going to draw this out for you so you can see this. Okay. I wish I had a yellow marker, but I don't. Anyway. The only time a solar panel works is when the sun directly shines upon it. And you say, well, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that if the sun is not directly overhead, but in fact is at an angle like that the solar panel is not going to get any sunlight? You got it. So, well, gee, that's not going to do me much good, is it? Good point. Except for one thing. That's right, except for one thing. What if you had something called a Fresnel lens? Well, if you have a Fresnel lens and a heat sink, you put the heat sink on the back of the solar panel to keep it nice and cool, because when you're using a Fresnel lens, it's going to heat up the solar panel. The heat has to go somewhere, and that's why you got to have a heat sink. But if you put a heat sink on the back of your solar panel, and then you put a Fresnel lens in front of it, you're going to generate almost double, possibly even triple amount of power. Think about that for a second. So that's Fresnel lens. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you more about Fresnel lenses in a later video because I want to go more extensive with it. Okay. But tonight, you just got introduced to a term. Now, another term I want to introduce you to, and I have put it on my fan page, but some of you guys have not really checked that out, is the sand battery. Let me tell you something about sand. One of the things you got to learn about sand real quick is that when the sun is in direct contact with the sand, it's going to heat up, and it's going to heat up a lot. And even when the sun goes down, the heat that the sand has absorbed doesn't go away right away. That's why sand batteries are a really good idea. They will not generate you any electricity, but they will generate you some heat. And if you had a portable sand battery in your room, you could keep your room warm for hours. Just a sand battery. They are actually trying to deploy this in Europe. I think it's a great idea. They can deploy it right here in the United States. They can actually send the heat through the pipes. They can insulate the pipes. All those pipes that bring you all that furnace heat can be converted over, and they can start sending you heat from the sand batteries. It wouldn't be that hard to do. And that's something we need to do here in the United States. We really need to do that badly. Okay? But we're going to talk about batteries. Okay? And if you're going to generate electricity with solar panels, even if you have the Fresnel lens, which of course is going to charge the battery up like you wouldn't believe, you're going to have to know some basic stuff about batteries. And I'm going to make you a nice little battery here. Okay. 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 This is called an anode, and this is called a cathode. And I'm going to go over this by recording the next couple of videos. So hang on just a second. Let me turn my camera back on. Now, okay. Here we go. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to introduce you guys to a couple of battery terms, and I'm going to introduce you. Boy, that was terrible. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted, the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to introduce you to a battery term. And this battery term is called an anode. Okay. It is one of two electrodes on a battery. Okay, I'm going to show you this. You can see here we got a picture of a battery right here. And down here on the bottom it says anode, and you see the negative. And then up here you see cathode, and it's the positive. And I'm going to tell you about both of those. The first one I'm going to tell you about in this video, and then I'm going to make another video where I'm going to tell you about this one here. Okay, so I can keep this nice and short and sweet. This is going to be part of a video series. It's going to teach you guys how to make batteries and all kinds of other stuff to keep your house nice and warm and to keep it electrified even when the power goes out. Okay, so what is an anode? Well, let's go through some etymology for you. And if you don't know what etymology is, you should have gone through some of my videos in the past because I told you about that. What is an anode? The word is derived from the Greek prefix ana, which means up, and the Greek word hodos, which means a specific path. So it's going literally from the bottom to the top. Get it? On a non-rechargeable battery, it's the negative end. What's the negative end? Well, see, what happens here is that this anode contains electrons. And what happens is that these electrons travel from the anode to the cathode. They cannot go directly this way because there's some kind of an electrolyte that is keeping it from going from here to here. So you have to hook a wire up, and through this wire, it goes from here to there. Okay, so this end receives electrons, this side loses some. So it sends it from there to there. Okay. Now then, so what's happening here is that if you have a rechargeable battery, this area here, from what I understand, and if I'm wrong, you can leave it in the comments below and I'll correct myself at some later point. From what I understand, this thing collects electrons. So when you're recharging the battery, this collects electrons so that the electrons can travel from here to here. Because obviously when this thing discharges, it's going to lose electrons. It's going to bring them up to here. That is an anode. All right. In my next video, I'm going to teach you about cathode, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So I would like for you to, if you can see the video links, there's a video link that will take you directly to cathode. Go ahead and watch that video. And then in a future video, you're going to see other terms and so on and so forth. You can watch those too. All right. I will tell you more in a future video. So I'd like for you to stay tuned. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and we're going to now talk about the word cathode, okay? We already talked about anode, as you remember this little diagram from my previous video, and you can see the anode is down here with the negative, but the cathode is up here with the positive. Why? Because this has protons in it, okay? Now, for those of you who, I hope you watched my last video, you've heard about protons, you've heard about electrons, okay? They had an entire Nickelodeon show, and the main character in that had a name, and it was not proton, it was not electron. And hopefully you'll remember what the name of that was. But anyway, so what's a cathode? Well, this cathode has protons, okay? It has protons. And these protons attract electrons. That's what they do. So the anode sends a whole bunch of electrons to the cathode. Okay, but I presented you some etymology in my last video, so I'm going to go ahead and present you some etymology in this video as well. The word cathode is derived from the Greek word kata, which means to go down, and the word hodos, which means a specific path. When you have a non-rechargeable battery, the cathode of the battery receives the electrons when it's connected to a device that needs electricity. And it's this traveling of electrons from the anode to the cathode that provides electricity for your devices. Now, what about with rechargeable batteries? Well, we're going to have to talk about that in another video. So, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Woo! Lots to talk about. Woo-wee. Anyway. All right. We're going to do exactly one more video. And then we're all done for tonight. Okay? I'm now going to continue my video series on the review of Danica McKellar's Math Doesn't Suck book, which is this one right here, by covering the topic of telephones. Because in this particular chapter, Danica McKellar begins the chapter with a discussion of telephone conversations. In the 21st century, calling long distance in the United States is usually free. Depends on what you... I own a UMA myself, and you pay a monthly fee, and boom, there you go. You can actually, because you have internet, basically, you could just use the Facebook chat or whatever. You could have basically free phone calls all across the United States. No problem. But when I was growing up, computers weren't that sophisticated. And that became the problem, okay? You could end up paying 11 cents a minute. Now, think about that. If you were to talk for an hour, that'd be about $6. Now, $6 doesn't sound a whole heck of a lot today. Back then, it was a lot of money. And you did not want to pay 11 cents a minute to talk to somebody on the telephone. Now, granted, some of these phone programs had times where it was like, if you called after 7 or 9 o'clock at night, the phone rates were cheaper. But even then, you didn't want to pay it at all. Okay, so with the advent of more powerful computers, the internet, and the fact that back in those days, you still had some switchboard operators. You don't have the switchboard operators pretty much today. There's less than 50,000 of them today. Far less than 50,000. Probably a good 20, 25,000. Even that, within a couple of years, you're not going to see them at all. So if you have a switchboard operator, appreciate them because they're going to be going away real soon. sooner than you think. So if you're trying to train for a switchboard operator job, might train for something else. Anyway, now you got to keep in mind that this 11 cents a minute that you were paying, okay, you actually had to pay a monthly fee to own that telephone line on top of this. And that could be 30, 40, 50 bucks or more, depending on where you lived. Because remember, it's the guys repairing the phone lines that you have to pay. Even now, because we use all this internet, we have the cable repairman and you have to pay him. So you didn't get out of that. Okay. So computers have drastically changed the situation. Now, instead of paying like 11 cents a minute, you're just paying for the internet line and then you don't pay for anything else. Okay. Now, I will honestly tell you that until I graduated from high school back in 1989, I had a rotary phone. That is not a joke, folks. I did. After I moved out of my childhood house, that was it. I didn't have a rotary phone after that. It was either push button or now we got our smartphones, so it's now touch screen. So there you go. All right. So anyway, the main reasons why everything changed was because, number one, we don't have switchboard operators anymore. So that disappeared. We have more powerful computers than the internet. And that is why you don't pay 11 cents a minute to call anybody anymore. All right. But back in the 1990s, if you had internet, it was free to plug the dang thing in. Okay, as far as that's concerned, because you just paid your monthly fee anyway. But here's the thing. You either talked to somebody over the telephone or you were on the internet. You couldn't do both. So you either drug in more phone lines or, well, you did. And then, of course, if you had internet, which is fine, you had to pay for an internet service provider. And that could run you some money too, like it does today. But now it's just the internet service provider, and you don't have to go through the phone company on top of it. So that's you save a lot too. You have no idea how much you're saving because of that technological innovation. Okay, so let's return to the subject at hand. Danica McKellar had to make a choice almost daily when she was younger. She could converse with her friends or do her homework. Okay. Which she also then had to decide whether she wanted to converse with her friends through the internet or converse with her friends over the telephone. Because remember, they didn't have the technology like they do today. So, of course, she could have talked to her friends about her homework, and that would have accomplished two tasks at once. But outside of me, what young adult would want to talk to another young adult about homework? Go figure. Anyway, the main topic in this portion of Math Doesn't Suck is ratios. I covered the topic extensively when I discussed Euclid Chapter 10. Danica McKellar does not bring up Euclid at all in this book, at least not so far. All right. Now, to go on with this particular video, I am going to discuss art class. This is something I was forced to take in high school. Okay. I didn't want to take art class, but I took it anyway. All right. Now, our particular art class had a kiln in the classroom. Yeah. Can you imagine that? We actually had a kiln. And I made a clay sculpture in class. Okay, I used actual clay to make a clay sculpture. Actually, it turned up into a flower vase. Okay, and then I had to decorate it. Yeah, it was a simple vase, but technically it was a vase. Okay, and it was a sculpture. Clay can be made from various minerals, but you have to have a certain amount of water to soften the clay so you can knead the clay and make it into the shape you desire. If you don't have enough water, you won't be able to knead the clay. If you add too much, it just goes everywhere. Trust me. It turns into some watery mess. So let's imagine that you have 4 ounces of clay. This is just a hypothetical situation. Okay, and let's say you had to add 2 ounces of water to the clay to make it soft enough to knead. Okay, this is what you knead bread dough. Well, the same type concept of clay. So in that case, you have basically a 2:4 ratio. Now, ratios can be written like this, 2:4, or they can be written like this, 2:4. The main reason this is the preferred method over this is because this is technically a fraction. This is a more clerical understanding of what ratios are really like, okay? Because they're not necessarily fractions. They can be presented as fractions, but that's not quite the way they work. So if you add another 2 ounces of clay to your mixture, you would also add another ounce of water to your mixture to keep it so you can knead the clay. Because if you just add 2 more ounces of clay to your mixture, it's not going to knead anymore because it doesn't have enough water. Period. And if you add more than an ounce of water to that now 6 whatever of clay, 6 ounces, you add more than an extra ounce of water to that 6 ounces of clay, it's going to become mush. Okay. Now, the one thing you don't want to do is to substitute Play-Doh for clay, because you put that much water on Play-Doh, it's just going to turn to mush. It's already got enough water to knead and do whatever you want with it, unless it's thoroughly dried out, and then you want to add a little water to make it work again. But Play-Doh, you don't have to add as much water to Play-Doh as you would to real clay. Go figure. How much water you'd have to add to completely dry Play-Doh, I don't know. You would have to consult the company that actually makes it, or ask somebody that's made their own Play-Doh, and there you go. All right. So the basic thing is that when you're using this, when you're trying to make a ratio, you have to make sure the units up here are the same kind of units down here. Okay? So, you're using ounces to ounces. Okay? You got 4 ounces of clay, 2 ounces of water. And that way, if you increase the numerator, you're going to increase the denominator as well, based on what you're doing. So if you had an extra 2 ounces of clay, you're going to add an extra ounce to this top one. So it's ounces to ounces, like that. Okay? Now, let's give you another example. Okay? Now, let's say it takes you 1 hour to travel 60 miles, but it only takes you 30 minutes to travel 30 miles. Okay? Now, to create ratios that you can compare, you have to convert the 1 hour to 60 minutes. Here's why. And this was illustrated in my videos about Euclid Book 10. So if you ever want to go and check those out, you may. So what you do is you'd have 30 over 60 equaling 30 over 60. Notice that this is 30 minutes to 60 minutes, 30 miles to 60 miles. Okay? So this is the number of miles covered. This is the number of miles covered. This is the amount of minutes covered. This is the amount of minutes covered. Okay? So the units are exactly the same. And that is very important to this. But here's the problem. Okay? Now then, what they want you to do with ratios is to reduce this to the lowest common numerator denominator, okay? Because they want you to reduce all this. All right, so instead of 30 over 60, you have a 1-to-2 ratio, okay? So now we're going to write the way they always want you to write it. It's a 1-to-2 ratio equaling a 1-to-2 ratio. That's how they really want you to write this stuff. because you're going to do this by Euclid Book 10. This is how you're supposed to write it. Because technically, it's not really a fraction. This is a ratio. I mean, they can be written like fractions, but really they are ratios. Now, why is it so important to keep the units exactly the same? Well, it doesn't sound very important unless, of course, you're dealing with medications and you're trying to formulate them. And I'm going to illustrate this very carefully when I publish my PTCB on a budget book. I know I have not yet published it, but when I do, if you're watching that video, if you're watching this video after that, you'll begin to realize how important it is to keep the ratios intact. Okay, and that means that if you have minutes in the numerator, you have minutes in the denominator. If you have miles in the numerator, you have miles in the denominator. And it's all reduced like this. Okay. Now, Danica McKellar continues this book of hers, at least this chapter, and she discusses lip gloss. She states that lip gloss doesn't last forever. That is absolutely true. So it's very important that if you use lip gloss, that you determine how long it's supposed to last. And when you know it's not really good anymore, dispose of it properly. Don't just throw it in the trash can, recycle it, or whatever, okay? And be cautious about sharing your lip gloss with anyone, especially siblings. If they're very sick, you can end up putting that illness right there on your own lips, mainly because they're sick and then you'll become sick too. So you don't really want to share sickness and on lip gloss. Ugh. But it could be as simple as a cold sore. Well, gee, the infection of the cold sore can end up in the lip gloss and then it can end up on you. Ew. So be careful about that. Now, I'm going to take a quick look at some of the math problems Danica McKellar presents in this chapter of her book. She never mentions the size of the pastry in the first problem or the fruit that is being used to create the ratio. I mean, if you're going to create a proper ratio, you might want to know if you got evenly sized components, a really good ratio. And let me ask you something. Who in the world keeps track of all the texts that they send out? I don't. I'm not going to sit there and count. I sent like 20 texts today. That's impractical. When you get really smart like me, that's impractical. And are you seriously going to keep track of how many texts another person sends back to you, whether they are just a friend or maybe that you're dating them or possibly they're your spouse? You're going to keep track of every single text that they send to you? Really? Now, if they have an important message in the text, you might want to keep track of that. But other than that, you're not going to sit there and count how many texts they sent you. Ridiculous. It is also not healthy to keep track of every morsel of food that you eat on a daily basis unless you have some medical condition that requires you to do so. If the name Karen Carpenter doesn't mean anything to you now, you should research that name. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Danica McKellar compares her cosmetic purchases to her fruit purchases. Why? Wouldn't it be more practical to compare her cosmetic purchases between retail outlets? That way you can find the best price for the cosmetics you're trying to purchase. Personally, I feel tremendously bad that the term dumb girl has become a terrible slang term. Ridiculous. But I must also state at this point that contrary to popular belief, there are really dumb girls in this world, and there are ways to determine how dumb they actually are. And fake celebrity pranks of New York City, I reviewed that particular video on my YouTube channel. If you ever go check it out, you can go see that for yourself. That should tell you everything you need to know. Okay? That's, ooh. All right, how do you tell if somebody's really smart or not quite so much? Look at the friends that these people are hanging out with and look at their interactions as well. Okay, they may play dumb to you. Are they going to do that to their friends? Really? You can tell not only if they're hanging out with these other friends, but what they're saying to these other friends as well. That'll tell you everything you need to know, really. Okay? Now, also observe their spending habits, and if you happen to be lucky enough and you gain their trust enough, they may be willing to show you, and this is extremely lucky. If you really get that lucky, congratulations. This usually doesn't happen, but maybe you'll get lucky enough and they may show you their credit card statements. That'll tell you everything you need to know about these people. You'll see how much debt they're in, how fast they're paying everything back, or if they even bother to pay anything back. You talk about if they can't really manage their money, that's pretty much their, yeah. Now, if you're not that lucky, and believe me, you really have to gain their trust to do this, and you're going to have to work hard in the relationship to pull that one off. Okay, so you're going to have to devote time to this, really. And if you are not appearing honest and trustworthy to these people right off the bat and continuing to prove that to them day after day, don't even think you're going to get a hold of their credit card statement. They're not going to give it to you. I promise you that. But you might be able to, on the other hand, it is possible that in a casual discussion without tipping your hat off, because you don't want to tip them off to what you're doing. Okay, you really don't. But maybe you have a casual conversation and you talk about maybe a purchase that they've made at some point, and maybe you can ask them politely and kindly if they're going to be able to pay it back and how are they going to be able to do that. They might be able to answer you, but they may not. You are going to have to be very trustworthy and honest with them before you can get any kind of information like that from them. So really, this is going to be about your character, not necessarily theirs. So if you're dating a gal and you need to know this information, you've got to take the first step. Be trustworthy, be honest. Don't spread it around. Don't spread anything around. Don't be the gossip. Just don't do that. That's not nice. Okay? The final part of this chapter focuses on foreign currency exchanges. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Foreign currency exchanges. And this is very important because if you are living here in the United States and you see a product in Italy and you know that the United States dollar is worth more than the Italian lira, I believe it is, you might be able to buy something in Italy through the internet and have it shipped here, and you might get yourself some incredible bargain. Otherwise, let's say you were trying to buy something from Great Britain and you know that the United States dollar is not worth as much as the Great Britain pound, okay, because that's their currency. You might not really want to buy something from Great Britain because it could be more expensive. Now, if you really want the item that badly, you could, but you're going to pay a heck of a lot of money for that. And that's just where ratios come in pretty handy. Okay? So there you go. All right. So that's the end of that chapter. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to leave some comments down here below. I will tell you more in a future video. So I'd like for you to stay tuned. Whew. Okay. I see there's one person in my video here. Whoever it is, hello. Glad you could join me. We got two. So all I can say is that as we are now closing out this particular live stream, I haven't closed it just yet, but I'm closing it out soon. Feel free to rewind it and watch all the stuff I've presented tonight. The individual videos will be up in the next few days, and you can watch those then. I'm sure that some of this stuff will be very controversial. I want to say thank you for all your patience. I know that this was running a little late, and the main reason for that is because I wanted to do the next chapter of Danica McKellar's Math Doesn't Suck book, and I have now reviewed it. And if you want to rewind this and see it for yourself, you are more than welcome to do so. Anyway, what am I going to review next time? Well, I'm going to try to find a song from Ariana Grande, and I'm going to review it. I'm also going to review a song from Michael Martin Murphey called Wildfire. I'm going to review that. And whenever I can, I'm going to be up on the internet. The next couple of 3 weeks will be pretty good opportunities for me to do that, unless, of course, it massively snows, then I can't. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing a bunch of cooking, so that's really kind of not even an option at this point. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and being patient. I know this has been a lot of patience on your part. So I want to thank you. And I hope you guys continue to tune in because we are going to cover the Fresnel lens, and we're going to cover something called graphene. That is not graphite. That is graphene, Graphine. I want you to research that, because the next time you come in here, I'm going to teach you about it. We're going to teach you about sand batteries, and also we're going to teach you about sodium batteries and some other stuff that you really need to know. And hopefully that'll help you out. Let me tell you something. If you can get a bunch of sand batteries, that'll keep you warm. Even if your electricity's out, you're still warm. Just turn on a little valve, and there you go. You're all warm. And sometimes just being warm is important. You could actually cook with the dang stuff, really, if you had it set up completely right. So this is something very important I want you guys to learn. So if there is a blackout, you will be okay. Your friends may not be, but at least you will. As for electricity itself, well, we'll be talking about that in another video. So go to my fan page. Please check it out and see what I've said. And hopefully next time I do a math lesson, I'll continue on in this book about Math Doesn't Suck, because there are actually, let me go through here. There are 21 chapters in this thing. So we are closing in to the end of the review. So eventually you'll see the end of it, and I can say, oh, this is what we think of the book whole way through. But I hope you guys have a great new year. I know 2022 pretty much sucked. 2023 at the moment is not looking much better, but hopefully it'll get better. I will continue to work on my Kindle books, and I want you to continue watching, support my channel. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to update some of my videos. The font videos I'm going to update, so on and so forth. It's going to be some great videos, and we're going to just teach you all kinds of new stuff until now. Here's the thing. It depends on the gas prices. If the gas prices stay high, I'm not going anywhere this year. I'll just go to the parades and videotape, and that'll be the end of it. I may go out to the Relay for Life this year. Last year was a bummer because it rained and I could not do anything about it. But in the years to come, it might be a better opportunity for me. Anyway, if I really get a chance to go out and videotape more signs, I'll go to Naboo. It'll depend. We will see. I don't know. We'll just take it one day to the next. If you guys really want me to start doing the Looking for Lincoln stuff again, and you really want me to do all this other stuff, including write the Kindle books, the whole 9 yards, watch my videos, comment on my videos, let me know what you're learning so I can help you out even better than I've done so far. Okay? All right. Well, I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in. You have yourself a wonderful evening. You be well and enjoy.